The names of many periods of geological time have their origins in locations around the United Kingdom. So what are they, and why did this happen? Devonian relates to the county of Devon. Silurian and Ordovician relate to ancient Welsh tribes. Cretaceous relates to the Latin name for chalk. It's linked to the chalk beds of south-east England, where the Cretaceous fossils were found. Cambrian relates again to the Latin name for Wales. Carboniferous relates to carbon in the coal-bearing rocks of England, where the fossils were discovered when there was large-scale coal mining taking place. Now, the names for the geological times date mainly from the Victorian era of the second half of the 19th century, when there was widespread interest in fossils and in fossil hunting in England, not only from scientists but also from a great many amateur fossil hunters. And while there was a great deal of scientific research and innovation taking place in the UK at this time, there were many other countries which were also making substantial scientific progress. In the case of the United Kingdom, what may have been the deciding factor in the leap forward in palaeontology may have been the Industrial Revolution. The most obvious factor here, of course, was the volume of coal being mined. It meant there were substantial numbers of samples from the Carboniferous era being discovered. However, areas of Wales and Devon where the Devonian, Silurian, Ordovician and Cambrian fossils were being discovered were fairly remote locations which had relatively small local populations. At the beginning of the 19th century, these areas were difficult to get to from locations like London and Cambridge, where many of the scientists and intellectuals were located. The Industrial Revolution, though, not only led to major changes in industrialization and manufacturing, but also in transportation, with huge numbers of railroads being constructed all across the country. Now, initially, these railroads linked up industrial centres to ports and cities, but they progressed to link up a great many smaller towns, especially to those along the coast. These coastal lines were not just used for the distribution of industrial goods, but in addition, many of these lines were used for passenger transport. The Industrial Revolution had created a regulated workforce that worked the clock. Eventually, employers found that the workforce was much more productive if they're given some time away from their work. And then the concept of holidays, especially seaside holidays and day trips, were facilitated by the network of railways started to become immensely popular. The railways then resulted in both scientists and amateur fossil hunters being able to easily get to what had been previously remote locations around the UK in substantial numbers. And with all these people wandering around the coastlines and wilder areas of the UK, the number of fossil finds increased dramatically. And as a result of these number of increased finds, so did the general public's interest in fossils and fossil hunting, which then in turn led families on their day outs and working in the factories to be scouring remote areas of the country now for even more fossils. This huge increase in the number of fossils being found also allowed scientists to separate the fossils in different periods of geological time, and the naming of these periods related to the areas where the rocks were being discovered.